Bobby Porter. He couldn't make it here, but he's got a very deep connection to Canton and one of his beautiful fields behind him and on our competitive table here today. So, Bobby, without further ado, thank you, sir.
No, thank you. And Jeff, first of all, thanks for having me. It's definitely an honor to talk to you guys. And I'll try to make it quick because I know some guys got to leave before. You said 4 o'clock. Yeah. So I'll try to make this very briefly. But just what you're doing, I just want to commend you for what you're doing to just have it at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which I do have connections to. But what you're doing just for the APBA community is absolutely fantastic. So hats off to you for doing this. And real quick, I know we talk about the Hall of Fame, and you are definitely on the short list and should be in the Pro Football, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but the APBA Hall of Fame. So with that being said, guys, just a little bit about myself. My name is Bobby Porter. I've been an avid APBA gamer since 1979. My dad basically taught me the game. And so I was going to go a little bit more detail on that, but I'm not. I'm going to just go into my dad real quick. So I was born right down the street in Mercy Hospital. Actually, I think either an exit or 2 exits. So those that traveled north on 77, Mercy Hospital is where this guy was born. And my mom was born and raised in Canton. My dad moved from Pittsburgh to Canton at the age of 8. So my parents consider Canton their hometown. I do not. I was just my birth state. I actually moved to Maine when I was 6. So Augusta, Maine is considered my hometown. Elementary school all the way up to my freshman year in college. But anyway, my parents, like I said, grew up in Canton, Ohio. They went to Glenwood High School, and their classmate was Dan Dierdorf. So my dad played high school football with Dan Dierdorf. So Dan was a year ahead of my dad, 2 years ahead of my mom. Actually, he was on the wrestling team with my uncle Chip, who still resides in Canton. Actually, is 12 miles from the hall. And so I'm going to share my screen here in a minute. But my dad and my uncle actually were maitre d's. My uncle did it for about 15 years. My dad did it for 12. We're maitre d's at the Gold Jacket dinner. So my dad and my uncle were able to rub elbows with all the Pro Football Hall of Famers. They built relationships with these guys. They remember my dad. I know my dad told me Lynn Swan tapped him on the shoulder one year just to say hello and remembered his name, said, "Hey, Bob, how you doing?" And then my dad actually had a conversation with Mr. John Madden before he passed away. And they got in a conversation about the immaculate reception. So my dad said John was very passionate about it, was still pissed off about it. And this is probably like 5 years ago. So the way my dad tells the story is a lot better than I do. So I'm not going to go into details with that, but it was pretty wild the way my dad kind of, described the way John was very emphatic about the play. And my dad was amused by the whole thing, to be honest. So, but yeah, so those are the things about the hall. And when we used to come home for holidays or for vacations, we would go to the Hall of Fame at least once, if not twice, and or even 3 times. And my dad and I would my dad didn't want to pay for admission the second or third time, so we would tell the ticket booth lady, "Hey, we want to go to the gift shop." Anyways, when you hear the PA announcer about the NFL films will be starting in 5 minutes, we went to the auditorium and spent probably 2-3 hours just watching NFL films. Now it's different today, where I think they only have one video and it just loops. Back then in the 80s, it was every half hour they had a different type of film. So if it was a Super Bowl film or a team film or Follies, I got the enjoyment to spend an afternoon in the Hall of Fame with my dad watching NFL films. So that's pretty much my connection with the hall. Last time I was up there was 17, but let me go ahead and share my screen. As you can see here, so Dan actually signed this for me. So this is a picture of the team picture right here. Dan wore 57. I don't know if you can see my dad. Can you see the whole picture or no?
Yep.
Okay, so I circled Dan, which wore 57. My dad wore 22. And the reason why my dad wore 22, he was a huge Bobby Lane fan. So that's the reason why he wore 22. My dad's a diehard Pittsburgh fan. That's the reason why I'm a Pittsburgh fan. It's because of my dad and my grandparents. But anyway, so this is Dan and my dad. They won the Federal League in 1966. And here's a picture of actually me and Dan. I went to the National, which is the card memorabilia show. This was in Chicago 2019. And this is the track team. My dad was on the track team along with Dan. As you can see right here, my dad is also named Bob. And Dan actually was gracious to sign this one as well at no charge. He saw these pictures and his eyes lit up and he was reminiscing. And we spent probably 10 minutes just talking about Canton and in his high school days and my dad and my uncle. So, which is really, really neat. And, you know, I shared, here's a couple pictures here of myself. I took my daughter to the hall. We went to Pittsburgh for opening day in 2013. Yeah. And we came to visit some relatives and we went, of course, we went to the hall and you can kind of see how different Tom Benson Field is. So this used to be called Fawcett Field, where my dad played on when he was in high school. And my buddy Jeff came along with me one Thanksgiving trip, and as you can see, we went to the hall, and it's completely different than what it is today. I was able to go on Fawcett Field at Tom Benson Stadium. It was actually, that was in '87 with me wearing the Bulls tank top. It was the Niners and Chiefs. And what was kind of cool about that is Len Dawson was there that day, and I was able to meet Len Dawson. I think he got inducted to the Hall of Fame that year in '87. I'm not 100% sure, but he was there. I think he was one of the inductees. So that was kind of a nice little memory, just kind of perfect timing with that. And then before I go to my fields, guys, just want to kind of talk to you briefly about the NCFL. So if you guys don't know, I think a lot of people know what the NCFL is. It's the National College Football League. I've been in that league since 2014. It's a great league. I'm going to be entering my 10th season. It was founded in 1980 in Columbus, Ohio. And so when guys started to, move away or lost interest, they wanted to keep the league alive, and they went to the Skype version or Skype play in 2013. And we still have 2 members from that original league. So Dick Rupert, who's, entering, I guess, what is 30 or 46th season or 47th season, and same thing with Danny Henderson. Am I right on that? Yeah. So they're entering, milestone really. Those guys they've been in the league since the original date of 1980, which is crazy. So those guys are still in the league. And what's nice about Skype, guys, is that you can branch out throughout the country, right? So when this league was ready to fold up, they were able to invent the Skype method to play, which is fantastic. And it let us branch out. We have owners right now in Ohio, New York, South Carolina, North Carolina, Arizona, and Virginia. So we represent 6 states. And Danny, who was one of the originals, actually lives in Arizona. So that lets him continue to play in the league. And I was in the SFL in Tampa, Florida, which is the Suncoast Football League, which Ray Dunlap, I think, started that league. I never played with Ray. I was out of that. He was out of that league by the time I joined in '97. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I didn't have a league, and I was disappointed because I left in 2007. But if we had Skype back then, I would be able to play. So with that being said, listen, the NCFL is a great league. I know is Ryan still there?
Yes, sir.
Ryan Strauss. Yeah, Ryan's in my baseball league. And I know Ryan was trying to start a league as well. And I know it just hasn't got where he wanted it to be right now, but I would like to see more leagues pop up like this, because APBA is a great game, especially football, and that time you got with a guy across the table is fantastic. And our league is very competitive. Great bunch of guys. I think we still have we have 7 guys that are still in the league that when I started. So that tells a testament of the league. And so, like I said, if you guys get a chance, at the end of my presentation, I have websites, and you can check out our league website if you like, as well as I put my baseball league as well, which Ryan is part of. But anyway, I just want to kind of talk about the NCFL. It's like I said, a great league. It's a face-to-face league where you can play over the internet, and it's the same game as you're playing across the guy today. So at the tournament. So with that being said, guys, I started these fields, as you guys can see, and how this all started was I was looking for enhancements for my solo play, just not the fields, just calling defenses. I struggle with that as a solo player. I want the realism of calling a play. Of defense, that is, and I just couldn't get that realism out, and so I stumbled across Greg Brath's website, right, OGuard 62, and Greg has these recaps of his seasons and of games of each season. So I looked at I'm looking at this recap, and I see this field of the home team that he's posting on. I'm like, oh my God, those are amazing. So I reached out to Greg, and Greg was very gracious and told me how he made these, and he had a local, print shop, and so he kind of told me how they did it. And so, which is crazy, is every day I go to work, I pass a graphics print shop in my hometown. I'm like, I'm gonna swing by there and ask them. And so I brought in the old APBA field and said, hey, can you make this field? And he looks at it, and he's a young kid, and he's like, yeah, I think we can make that. And so I had a PDF. I don't know how I got it, but I had a PDF of Heinz Field or Three River Stadium. And so I sent him that through email, and a couple of weeks later, he calls me up and says, hey, the field's ready, come check it out. And I dropped off the football and the yard marker prior to that to make sure everything, all the components worked on the field. And then when I came in, it was just like, oh my God, it was like, I was blown away by just the way the field looked and just the details of it. And I'm like, I was addicted. Like all of a sudden I had an order in for 3 fields, and every couple months I put, because they're not cheap, and every 3 to 4 months I put in more fields, and I have probably about over 40 in my collection right now. And I would post those on the Facebook group on, in APBA Games. And I had a nice reception, and a couple guys reached out to me and said, hey, can you make these for me? And I was like, sure. And I made a few fields for some guys. And then when Jeff reached out to me recently for the convention, and I thought to myself, why not make these available for everybody? Go ahead and sell them. And listen, I don't have a huge margin in these. I want people to have the same enjoyment as I do with these fields. So I have a couple options for everybody. So these that you're seeing right now, this is a set I made for someone recently. He bought 3 fields from me. I charge $45 plus shipping for the cutouts, right? So if you guys can see what the ones that Jeff has, and he has 2 versions of it. This one has 3 layers to it, right? So you have the print of the field, you have foam board in between, and then you have a cardboard backing, which gives it more stability. And my printer does a fantastic job with these, right? And so these I charge $45. This one right here. So the Saints one, actually, this is custom. So one thing I can share with you real quick. So getting the fields has been a challenge for me, right? And another gentleman who I think should be in the Hall of Fame as well is Jerry Zajac. He's in the NCFL.
Yeah.
And Jerry has every field from 1970 to 2017. So me and Jerry were talking one day, and he says, I got fields, man. You can have as many fields as you want. So he went ahead and emailed me all the fields. So I have every field. But I'm so detail oriented. There's some fields that weren't as detailed as I want them as that era was. So this one with the Saints, I can't find one with the dark end zones. I can't find it with the conference logos or the NFL logo at the 30. So I went ahead and I made this myself. So this is a custom field that I made, and it came out fantastic. And then as you see the Patriots field here, you see the black lines. And I know Jeff has some with black lines. So if you have the patience and the energy and the time, you can make your own fields. You can go ahead and buy the foam board either at Home Depot or I think Staples or any kind of Michael's or Pottery Barn, not Pottery Barn, I'm sorry, or Hobby Lobby. They have the foam board. So you can go ahead and get that there and make them yourself and get an X-Acto knife and cut those lines out. I tried it, guys, and it was, I don't have a steady hand. I don't have the patience. So I went ahead and scrapped that. I told my printer going forward, I don't want to do this. You're going to cut them out going forward. Sure. So, and it costs more money because they do it by hand themselves.
Wow.
So yeah, they do it by hand. So that's why I don't get a price cut, but I do get a price cut on these. So right now I charge $12 a print. And I can go, if you buy 5 or more of the prints, I can do 10. So this one's with the black lines if you decide you want to cut them out. And then this field right here, if you just want the field to lay down and move the football up and down with the yard marker, same thing, 12, and it's 10 for 5. If you buy more than 10, I can probably do a little bit better than that if they give me a better price. So, and then a couple of last things I want to share with you. So this one is another custom field that I made and maybe honor Dan Dierdorf, right? Yeah. Canton native. So this was Busch Stadium, Cardinals. So this is the one where I did the logos in the corner. So conference logo and the NFL logo. This is an 80s Busch Stadium field. As you guys probably see, is a lot of the helmets are left to right. Well, this one's right to left. So I was able to go ahead and invert the helmet to go the other way. And this is how the field was, I believe, in the mid 80s, I believe. So or it would have been the mid 80s. So this is another custom field that I made for myself, and I can make these for everybody. And then you guys can get an idea here, what the actual field looks like compared to the actual NFL or the APBA game board that they gave you, right? The NFL field that they gave you, or not the NFL field, but the generic field that they gave you. And mine is about a half an inch each way, so inch total left to right. And then from top to bottom, it's about 3 inches, I believe. I didn't do the measurement. I'm just kind of looking at naked eye. I'm thinking it's about 3 inches. Oh, wow. So, like I said, these boards are, as you guys can see. And Jeff, I apologize because your board, my printer made it a little bit longer than normal. So the 10-yard marker, which I didn't realize until after the fact, is a little shorter than normal. And you probably noticed that. And so that I apologize. We got that corrected because when I went back to make the fields for the other gentleman recently, I said, you made them too big. They're about I don't know if they're an inch too much, but it's not exactly 10. And so that bothered me, to be honest with you. So they've corrected that now, and it's 10. It's actually 10 yards. So, and the ball fits perfectly, as you guys can see on the hash mark. So that's pretty much it, guys. On my, like I said, I want to kind of condense this down so you guys continue your tournament play. But these are the fields that I do, and if you guys are interested, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them real quick. And then a couple of websites. So my baseball website, which I didn't talk about, the baseball league I'm in, and we're expanding to 16 teams this winter. So I think we have one opening already taken, I believe, and so we'll have one more. But anyways, it's WBO APBA66.wixsite.com/baseball, WBO baseball. And then our NCFL website, if you want to check that out. Now our league runs from mid-December, and it ends with the Super Bowl in March. So our league hasn't started yet. We're just waiting for the card set. So hopefully that will be out in the next couple of weeks. We're hoping. So that's jzajac.wixsite.com/NCFL. Then if you guys want to reach out to me on the football fields, it's bporter26@yahoo.com. And then another site that I use, guys, for the fields, and they have present fields right now. So they update this every year with the current NFL film. And I do take some from that as well when I build my fields, if you want to have the actual current field right now. So I go to gridironuniforms.com. It's a great site for research. So I don't know if anyone's actually gone on that site, but they have, they do have historic fields, but a lot of it is the new field. So I can make any Super Bowl field because I take it off of that site. Right. So if you want a Super Bowl field, I can make those as well. I've made 2 for my personal collection. I had the Steelers and Cowboys in Super Bowl 13, and then I did Super Bowl 14, which the Rams and Steelers. It's just those 2 fields remind me of my childhood, right? I was 8 and 9 years old, so those really bring back good memories for me. But anyway, and plus the Steelers won the Super Bowl. So, that's right. But check out that website, and if you guys are interested in the fields, please reach out to me. Does anyone have any questions I can answer?
I think we're good. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, Jeff, once again, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, man. We're with you here in spirit, so we appreciate that, and I think you're going to be very busy in the coming months here with these fields.
I hope so. Yeah, it's been kind of slow right now. So I've had, like I said, I had 7 orders. My first batch. The second batch has only been 4. But like I said, I'm not making it. I don't want to make a ton of money. I have a 9-to-5 job that is my main job. This one is just to, like I said, help the APBA community and enhance their gameplay, really, and enjoy and have more enjoyment while playing.
Yeah. Any football, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Cool.
So, but thanks again, Jeff. Appreciate you having me, and good luck to the guys that are in the championship game.
All right. Thank you, sir.